ICA podcast. I'm Steve Prines, and I'm the course author and instructor for our home inspection training program. In today's podcast, I'm going to discuss the demise of NAHI, or the National Association of Home Inspectors. We'll talk a bit more about the pros and cons of joining a home inspection association. So let's talk about NAHI. We received a few emails asking about what happened to NAHI. Well, the National Association of Home Inspectors unfortunately ceased operations several months ago. Now, why exactly they decided to close their doors? Well, I've heard a lot of stuff. I don't want to say too many things for or against the management style they were employing or whether or not the executive director did a good job. And while I've heard some things, I'm certainly not privy to all of the information available. But I think it is accurate to say that they were having some membership retention issues. They had some issues with their national conference as of the last couple of years. Some of the local chapters were struggling. So I think it's simply a variety of reasons that NAHI ended up folding and not any specific reason by itself. In any case, it's certainly an unfortunate situation. Anytime you lose a viable professional association, as NAHI was, it's really a shame. So that leaves us with just two national home inspector associations, the American Society of Home Inspectors, better known as ASHI, and the International Association of Certified Home Inspectors, better known as INACHI. And of course, there are still several major state associations and a few smaller state associations as well. When NAHI announced that they were ceasing operations, they revealed that any current NAHI member would automatically become a member of the American Society of Home Inspectors, and ASHI agreed to honor the remaining membership term of any NAHI member. At the end of that regular membership period, if the former NAHI member chooses to continue forward with ASHI, all they have to do is renew their membership and move forward as a member of ASHI. So the NAHI members were not left high and dry. By arrangement between the two associations, NAHI members automatically became ASHI members, so their membership dues were not lost. And in fact, of those two associations, ASHI is the larger and stronger association. I'm sure that a lot of NAHI members are not happy to be forced into ASHI. They had their reasons for joining NAHI to start with, as opposed to ASHI, but at least they weren't left with nothing. ASHI is a very, very good organization. It is the original Home Inspector Professional Association in the United States, and today, it continues to be the leader in the home inspection profession. Now, as I said, that leaves us with ASHI and INACHI as our two national organizations. Which one is better than the other? I don't know. I guess it's a matter of personal preference. In our ICA training program, we use the ASHI standards of practice, and we do that mainly because ASHI is the original standard of practice. The ASHI standard is recognized by more states where home inspection is licensed than any other standard. And personally, I think it's a very good standard of practice. There's certainly nothing wrong with the standard of practice as provided by INTERNACHI, but which one someone would choose to use may be dictated by their state law if they're in a licensed state. And if they're not in a licensed state, it's up to each individual's personal preference. Anytime someone asks me, should they even look into a professional association, there's a few things that I like to mention. I also do want to point out, we did cover professional associations in great detail in a previous podcast from November of 2014, and that is still available on our website if you'd like to listen to that. But I think there's a few points that are worth mentioning again. As far as which professional association to join, well, should you even join a professional association? A professional association will help to keep you informed of current events in the inspection industry. They will act as an advocate on behalf of you and the other members and of the profession in general. They'll provide some continuing education opportunities, and they'll have a national conference They may have one or more regional conferences, and ASHI in particular has many, many local chapters, and most of those chapters have monthly meetings or meetings 4 times a year in which dinner is served and there's some education provided and certainly moral support from other members. Joining a professional association certainly is going to cost some money, several $100s. And if you're just getting into the home inspection profession, your financial circumstance may be that you really can't afford that extra money. It's going to be all you can do to be able to get into the home inspection business. And of course, I should point out that the ICA training program is by far the most affordable training program in the United States, especially for such a comprehensive program as ours is. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that we are now offering an educational module on the use of drones for inspecting roofs. This is cutting-edge technology that you definitely do not want to miss out on. And when you complete the ICA program, you do receive a free 1-year membership in the American Society of Home Inspectors. That's a great opportunity for you to decide if ASHI is providing you with what you feel you need as a home inspector. At the end of your ASHI membership, you can decide to renew, or you can check out InterNACHI if you would like. Both professional associations provide some different benefits for their members. ASHI and InterNACHI have somewhat different approaches and different styles to the way they run their association and to what they try to provide for their members. So it's certainly not a bad idea to check out both associations at the end of your complimentary 1-year ASHI membership when you complete the ICA program. One of the biggest things that any home inspector looks for when they decide to join a professional association, whether you do so at the national level or at the state level with one of the large state associations such as Terry down in Texas or WAHI up in Wisconsin, is you're looking for camaraderie. You're looking for a chance to talk to other home inspectors, find out what they're doing, compare notes, just to have somebody to talk to in your industry, maybe get some contacts. It's great to know other home inspectors, especially when you do an inspection, you see something a little bit unusual. It's great to have the names of a couple other guys in your area that, maybe you can send them an email, you can send them a text, shoot them a photo and say, hey, what do you think about this? The advantage of knowing other home inspectors that you're friendly with in your own area is that they're used to seeing the same kinds of things that you're used to seeing. Now, absolutely, when you go through the ICA program, we are more than happy to help you with questions that you may have when you do your first home inspections. If, for example, you live down in Florida, absolutely, it would be of benefit for you to know 2 or 3 or 4 other Florida-based home inspectors and perhaps run those questions by those guys instead of trying to ask me when I'm based in Chicago. Now, that's not to say that I don't understand how homes are put together all over the United States. And in fact, I used to live in Florida for 5 years, but I think you understand what I'm saying. It's always better to have contacts in the area that you're working in as opposed to several states away. That's one of the biggest benefits of joining a professional association, for that networking, for meeting other people. The other thing about joining an association, whether it's a state association or a national association, is that by stepping up and joining the committees, all associations have volunteer committees that you can serve on. So no, you won't get paid, at least not in money, but absolutely the time you spend is more than compensated for the contacts you can make. And I can tell you flat out, the years I spent in the American Society of Home Inspectors back in the 1990s are still paying dividends for me today because of the contacts I made. And yes, I did serve on a national committee, the Public Relations Committee to be precise. And in fact, for 3 years, I was the chair of the National Public Relations Committee. So my time spent with ASHI was very, very useful. Another thing to consider with a national association is, do they have a local presence? To the best of my knowledge, ASHI has the most local chapters of the 2 remaining associations. And if I was going to join a national association, I would certainly take a close look at whether or not there was a local chapter within easy driving distance of my home so that I could attend those meetings. By going to a local chapter, that's a place where you definitely will meet local home inspectors, which is what I've been talking about. Now, as far as joining a state association such as CREA out in California or WAHI up in Wisconsin and so forth, absolutely. If you're in one of the states that has a very viable state association, you should definitely consider becoming a member of that association. But again, feel free to contact them before you join, ask a few questions, look at their website, see what you think the benefits will be for you, and try them out for size. Now, whether or not you're currently a home inspector or you're simply thinking of getting into the profession, the very best advice I can give you is to not be afraid to try things, and that includes joining an association. If after joining one of the national associations, and again, remember you do get a free 1-year ASHI membership when you complete the Inspection Certification Associates Training Program. That is completely complimentary. But at the conclusion of that first year of membership, at that point you have to decide, did this do for me what I was hoping it would do? If it's not, you don't have to put any more money into it. If you want to try InterNACHI, feel free. Put some money in that for a year. Remember, you always spend a few $100, and yeah, I know that sounds like a lot of money for a lot of us, but when you're trying to operate a business, and this is the way you need to think about yourself when you go into the home inspection business, you are trying to operate a business. You're not just trying to cobble together a few home inspections. Most of us are trying to do this full time, and yes, we have to operate this like a business. And in the business world, a few $100 really is not a big investment. You have to start thinking that way. So to invest a few $100 in joining a professional association, whether at the national level or at the state level, it could be the best investment you'll ever make. And at the end of a membership, if you didn't think it gave you everything you needed, everything that you wanted, well, you've only invested a few $100. You got a year's membership out of it. You certainly got some benefit out of it. So remember, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Now, I do want to point out that I would not consider joining any of the professional associations, whether at the national level or at the state level. I would not consider joining any of them thinking that I was going to get lots and lots of home inspections simply because I was a member of a state or national association. Yes, you'll get some inspections because of your affiliation with ASHI or InterNACHI or WAHI or TERI, and that's something to consider when you look at how much you're paying to join an association. Will the inspections that you gain from being a member, will those pay for your membership dues? Absolutely. So as I've said, at the conclusion of the ICA program, you get a free year of membership in ASHI. So after you've concluded that first year, you can look for yourself and say, hey, did I get any inspections because of my membership in ASHI? If you got even 2, well, most likely that covered your membership for another year, and you should feel quite happy to pay the dues and continue to enjoy the benefits of being an ASHI member. So certainly those are some of the things you should consider when deciding whether or not to join a professional association. Another thing I'd like to point out in considering whether or not to join a professional association, as a newer home inspector, one of the very best things you can do is go to the ASHI National Conference. And sure, that's going to cost you some money. You have to pay for the conference, which is several $100s. And if you're an ASHI member, yes, the several $100s you have to pay for the conference is above and beyond your membership. So members don't go for free. They still have to pay their several $100s. And of course, unless you are lucky enough to live in the city where they're holding the conference, you're going to have to get yourself there, which means driving or a plane, and you're going to have to pay for a hotel. So yeah, you could spend $1,000 or more going to an ASHI National Conference. But as a brand new inspector or as a newer inspector, that'll be one of the most valuable things you could do to enhance your career. So even if you decide that you're not going to continue in ASHI forever, by going to a conference, and by the way, you can go to an ASHI conference even if you're not a member. It's simply going to cost you more than it would for an ASHI member. But going to an ASHI conference as a brand new or newer inspector is so valuable because you get a chance to meet inspectors from all across the nation. And that's very, very important, especially if you're not a bashful person. Talk to people between educational sessions. Talk to them at lunch. Talk to them at dinner. Talk to them in any of the numerous bar sessions that'll happen at the end of the day. You know, whether or not you want to have a beer or drink a Coke or whatever you like to drink, sit down with some of the inspectors, just walk up to a table, introduce yourself. They'll welcome you with open arms. Ask some questions. Talk about your experiences. You have such a great opportunity to learn from other people. And people at national conferences tend to be more honest and open with you about the home inspection business than people at local chapters, because guys and gals in local chapters tend to see you as a competitor. So yeah, you're sort of a friend, but you're really a competitor. And so they're not always going to be as forthcoming, especially when it comes to issues like marketing. Now, certainly inspectors even at local chapters might be glad to help you with, hey, what you're looking at is rag wrap wiring, and that's real common in our area, or, you know, this is a really common foundation type in our area. Yeah, they'll help you with stuff like that, but they're going to be a little more guarded about why they charge what they charge and how they go about getting inspections. But at a national conference, a lot of folks are pretty honest and open about how many inspections they actually do per year, what they're charging, how they market, and so forth. And of course, at the ASHI National Conference, they have a great vendors hall, and you'll get a chance to see the latest in reporting software, the latest tools. So it's just a great, great experience. To be fair, InterNACHI also has a national conference, and I'll be honest with you, I've not been to it. But I do know that the ASHI conference is a really, really good home inspection conference. And just through the grapevine, I know an awful lot of home inspectors, but from what I can tell, the ASHI conference is still the best national conference overall. Well, that about covers today's topic. If you have a question or topic that you would like to have us include in a future podcast, just send it to podcast@icaschool.com. That's podcast, podcast, @icaschool.com. Thanks for listening to today's ICA podcast.